Do I have to do that again? So today we're joined by Tim Baines of the Advanced Services Group at Aston to talk about change management, but change management in the context of servitization. So Tim, can you give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and the Advanced Services Group?
So I'm a Professor of Operations Strategy at the Aston Business School in Birmingham. The Advanced Services Group is a research centre and which not only delivers research but also focuses on the impact of that research inside industry. We're a group of about 20 people strong and all our work is about this topic of servitization, working with firms around the world really to understand it and to actually apply it.
So servitization can be a big transformation project for a business, but how long typically does a servitization project take?
Then the answer really depends upon your ambition. I mean, is it something that you want to do very quickly? Is it something where you want to try and change the whole organisation? Or is it something that you kind of want to start and just see how it gains traction and then move forward from there? We would always advocate the latter. We would always say, think about doing this step at a time. First of all, servitization is not a reaction to very poor environmental conditions. It's a very formal approach. Needn't be a formal, but it's a very almost like ambitious approach to create additional value streams inside the organisation.
Sure.
So the thing to do is to start small, start with one project, bring together a team, and start to actually develop your ideas, pilot the ideas, work with customers, understand what it takes to actually make these things come about in reality, creating that one project and actually delivering that kind of one project. And that project can take anywhere between 6 to 18 months to get it out into the field. It can be as simple as that.
How many of those projects are actually a success? What percentage would you say are a success and move on?
So again, the answer to that question depends upon the context. So if you take a firm which we would recognise as a manufacturing or industrial firm which has a pathway to its customers, is in a pretty stable condition, it's not a panic, and we're saying a group of people are coming together, starting to think about innovating a new business model based around services. It's sensibly ambitious. It's trying to change, but it's not trying to change the world in one go. It's quite likely that will be successful. It'll take 18 months, 2 years to make it happen, but it will be successful. And that's not to suggest that you wait until 2 years before you start your next one. But that one new business model innovation, seen through from conception to piloting to scaling, that typically 18 months to 2, that can happen in that type of time scale. And if it's done well, and the chances of success are quite high. The secret is to do it quite small, quite in a controlled way. Don't try and change the whole organisation. Have one really great success first of all.
Is there certain people that need to be involved in that team to make it success? Where do you see, if you had a cross-functional team, are they more likely to be successful, and who would be in that cross-functional team?
What is key to success is, in the first instance, getting a group of people around you who kind of share the same understanding, the same ambition, the same realised opportunity in the same way, people you can talk to. Now, we refer to that as a coalition, and success is very dependent upon having quite a healthy coalition. Now, that coalition doesn't necessarily need to include the senior management inside the firm. It can be a kind of a group of more people from more middle management roles, let's say. Doesn't need to be cross-functional. It's helpful if it is, but it's the ambition and the commitment which are more important than the functions themselves. That coalition is kind of key to success. Servitization is invariably about the customer and the firm operating, the firm working to innovate the customer value proposition. That's what service. So when you start to talk about that team, what's really important is that you actually pull together a collection of people who are close to the customer, who've got some insights about the customer. So that's important as part of that coalition.
Sure, understand. Do you find these projects are much more successful if you've got a champion sitting in the C-level driving things forward?
Well, we go to lots of field service conferences, and somebody will invariably get up and say, servitization can only happen if you get somebody at the C-level who's come up with the idea and cascade it down to you, and off you go and you do it and you report back. That is not what we see in practice.
Okay.
So what we see in practice is that the idea can come from various people inside the organisation, and it's all about that idea gaining some traction. Now, if a group of people to come together who share the idea, then it's more likely that that idea will gain traction. Now, at some point, it does require a sponsor from somebody senior in the organisation, which is going to give permission to this team to go out and try it and see what they can come up with, to go and do that small project. So they are going to need permission, and they are going to need a sponsor, and the stronger the sponsorship, the more ambitious that team is likely to be, and the more ambitious the team is likely to be, the more exciting was likely to be the solution.
Okay. So you talked about customers. Do you find that sometimes it's actually the customers that force organisations to look at servitization and change themselves?
Yeah. Hey, come up with some new services for me. That's going to be a really strong, compelling reason for the organisation to think about doing this stuff. But it's not essential in that first phase. Where it does start to become essential is in the second phase, where imagine you've got a group of people, you've been told, go try it for me. As you move into that phase, you have to go and work with customers. I mean, as I mentioned a moment ago, servitization is about the innovation of the customer value proposition. It's about what you do for the customers.
Yeah.
You can only start to do that by engaging with the customers. And there are very well-established documented techniques for doing that, frameworks for going out, segmenting the market, identifying the right customers to work with, going out there, carrying out mapping of the customers' needs, their pains, their opportunities. There's lots of very insightful techniques to help you to engage and understand the customers. And so on the basis of that engagement, on the basis of that understanding, is you innovate your customer value proposition. So the innovation is happening with the customers. It's not happening in the laboratory. It is happening in the workspace with the customers. That's where that engagement becomes key in that second phase. In the third phase of you starting to think about your servitization project, you're invariably starting to look inward again a little, because you're starting to think about your own systems to service a customer value proposition you might offer to the customer. So, if you've done a really great job in that engagement phase, the customers will stay with you during that. But it's that second phase where the customer engagement is essential.
And just, I guess if you had to sum it up, is there a golden nugget, a piece of advice that you'd give to companies looking at servitization? So how do they make their projects a success?
So the easy answer is to talk about coalitions and storytelling and such like. Sure. But I'll just take a step back first and just say to you, but let's just assume for the moment you're in a firm where you're actually starting off on this, as you would describe it, as a journey.
Yeah.
What would really help you to get moving? Invariably, it's that coalition. It's the strength of that coalition, that group of people around you.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily talking about people who are direct reports or you reporting to the senior management, etc. I'm just talking about that group of friends, advocates, people who share the same ambition as you inside the firm. It doesn't need to be many. Inside a typical firm, for a typical business model innovation, it could be 5, 6, 10 people. Right. It's that type of group.
Yeah.
And one of the really powerful techniques to help to hold that group together and to make a statement is techniques such as storytelling.
Okay.
And believe it or not, there's been an awful lot of work out there on storytelling. Okay, just stories. Once you realise this, it destroys.
We talk about storytelling a lot in sales, and marketing, but in
So it destroys your You will never watch a film again Having understood the basic structure of a story,
Yeah.
Every Disney film you ever watch from now on, you will always know the ending after the first three or four minutes into it. So study storytelling, study how to get a compelling story across there, study vision. One of the challenges you have is that lots of organisations which are have a product heritage can only think about the vision for their future in terms of the product. Okay. You think about it's all about the product. You've got to try and create a vision for people which is based around the service, not around the product. But I'm not talking about a vision at this very early stage. I'm not talking about a vision for the whole organisation. I'm not talking about a coalition for the whole organisation. I'm not telling about stories for the whole organisation. Okay. I'm talking about coalition, about stories and about visions for that business model innovation. That one small project which gets you moving. Focus on that. Focus upon the coalition story and vision for that one project and get it moving and then go from there. That would hopefully be my nugget which would help you on your journey.
So we talked about servitization and summing up advice for companies who are on the servitization journey. But what if we look more specifically at the change management involved in that? Is there any advice you'd give to companies around change management and how they bring all their employees and functions on that journey?
So 2 points. The first thing is be clear in your mind that it starts with business model innovation, change management comes later. Okay. Focus on the business model innovation, don't worry about the change management in the first instance. Second point is with regards to the business model innovation, success is based upon the strength of the coalition, really great compelling stories and arguments to actually do it, and starting to create a bit of a vision about what a new service can actually look like. If you can create those three, if you can achieve those 3 points from the onset with a new business model innovation, change management will take care of itself in the longer term.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for all your time today, Tim. It's been great to get all that advice.
And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.